Hello everyone. Hope you all are doing great. Welcome to this session of Meet the Global Leader. This webinar is all about sharing amazing people's journey from their student life and the things they are doing right now with our audience who are mainly studying at universities. And through this webinar, we try to share some, insights about professional sector, how people from different countries develop some skills and how they have been implementing those skills through their professional career and impact they have been created on their community or worldwide as well. That actually helps students to understand how people are doing things, and it creates awareness among them and broadens their mindset globally. So today we have invited Miss Marianne. She is the CEO of Isn't She Amazing? It's an amazing name of it, because when we um, say the positive word, it creates positivity among us. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to a powerhouse in personal development and life transformation. Ms. Marianne is an award-winning entrepreneur, psychotherapist, and author who empowers women to achieve their dreams. For over 35 years, she has been helping individuals and business thrive. She is a TEDx speaker, a Mind Valley certified hypnotherapist, and the founder of Isn't She Amazing, which equips women leaders to excel. Her passion for empowering women extends to the Be the Change Foundation, a nonprofit she established to train and equip aspiring women entrepreneurs. Her journey is truly inspiring, and we're positive her insights on professional sectors and on several topics will be invaluable. So without further ado, let's hand over to our speaker, Miss Marian. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm great, Mahbub. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited.
Great, great. And as you know, our audience who are students, they basically like to know about, what actually made people, the person there right now, their backgrounds, and connecting some dots to learning their professional journey. So, if you go back to your university life, you have achieved so much. How did you manage your studies and extracurricular activities and personal life during your university years?
Well, you know what? It's been many years since my university years, and I wish that someone had a program like this for me when I was a student to give people an idea in hindsight about that how they wish they would have treated their university experience, because I don't think I managed my time very well. I think I wasted a lot of time, but I think I learned how since then to be more focused, more goal oriented, and understanding. I wish I had known from the very beginning what impact I wanted to make on the world. And at the time, I didn't really have a big idea. I was going to school for a for education degree, and I never became a teacher. But it was a really, really beneficial time in personal growth, in relationships, and an all-round education. And university life is just something that you can't match. So I think it's wonderful that the university students are interested in listening to advice from people who've been there.
Absolutely. And you have mentioned that you wish you would sorry you wish you would not wasted that much time. So it's all about information gap, especially for because students and they have especially in our country a little bit less access to information in a sense, based on their major what are the career prospects they can have, it can be, say, for example, if anyone study marketing, what would be the career prospects for them in their future? So in that case, like for this information, we actually try to share people from different careers, different professions, how they have been implementing different skills. So this is about sharing information. And according to you, what actually made you think like that, that you would not waste your time? What is your wish that if you are a student at the university right now, what would you do?
Well, I think one thing people want, I think students want to know and think that they should know from the very beginning of what they want to be and how they want to use their education. And while that's important to have a plan and a path, I did not use my college education as a teacher. I never became a teacher, but I used it as a kind of a foundation to later get my graduate degree in as a therapist. And so I became a psychotherapist, and that's what I had been for the last 35 years, and a coach and an author. But my education in education to be a teacher was really grounding for me to get the basics of what I needed to know. And that's where I started to learn about psychology. I actually failed Psychology 101 when I was a freshman. So when you just keep in mind that when you have those little failures, you just take it again, find a new teacher, find a new course, and and then I didn't fail it the second time. But it's, stuff happens, and we shouldn't be discouraged when we don't succeed the first time.
Definitely. And like of our audience, you mentioned wonderful, very nice to hear from Ms. Marianne Clyde. Thank you for watching, Mr. Ahmad. And for those who are watching, is it's all about like learning and developing. It's about going forward, whatever happens. So if you can relate the skills that you developed during your university life, all through your professional journey, your entrepreneurial journey as well. What were the skills you would mention that has been helping you all through your professional career that you developed during your university life?
Do you know what I think the most important skill is not necessarily the book learning that we do, but developing good, solid relationships, becoming aware of who your support people are, who you want to be like, who your mentors are, who your real friends are. And I think even as here I am, graduated almost 50 years ago, and using relationships, even still from college and university years, where people I met are helpful to me in my journey. They they've become good friends. They're lifelong friends, and I don't ever think we should minimize the relationships that we make and we continue to make along the way. People, marketing is really just being yourself and being authentic. And so the first thing you have to learn is how to be your authentic self and understand how powerful you really are just as a human being. You're not powerful because you go to school. You're not powerful because you know important people. You're powerful because you know who you are, and you're willing to make mistakes, and you're willing to grow. And like you mentioned, Mabub, um, develop your personal development journey. That's huge. And it lasts an entire lifetime, and it's not over in 4 years or 8 years or 12 years.
Definitely. And like exploring self is very important. And for that, if you have to do research, go to seminars, watch webinars, it's about exploring and utilizing all the tools available in front of us to explore, learn new things. And like in most cases, especially a developing country like us, uh, sometimes, or maybe somewhere else, it, there is a gap that students think that whatever they're learning in their academic life, when they're at university, and when they go in professional sector, there is a gap. Like, oh, I didn't know during my university life. Oh, I didn't learn. Or most of the things that I studied, like it's irrelevant now. So there is a shock, like what happens. So in case of you, what was the situation like that after like graduation when you started your professional journey, and how to like adapt with these new changes in life? I mean, when students there is like not similarities, or like that thing that they studied in university. So how was it for you, and how in that case during the beginning of professional journey, how students can adapt with this new lifestyle and new things that they're learning?
Well, the things that you're learning doesn't end at the beginning of your at your graduation day. It
Yeah,
continues to grow. So I think some of the skills that are important to learn are humility. You learn to appreciate all the people around you. You, Mahbub, mentioned how important it is for curiosity, that you learn to be curious about the people around you and the situations that you're in and so forth. You don't, a lot of times we think we know it all when we come out of school and nobody can teach us anything. But I'll tell you what, I have learned more from traveling around the world and meeting different cultures and different types of people and people who have been through um, traumas. I mean, I've as a therapist, I've traveled to many developing countries where civil wars were raging, and there were very victimized people that lived in those situations. I learn more from the people I work with internationally than they could ever learn from me. And so I think humility and understanding that you always have something more to learn and other people always have something to teach you, even if you don't like them or even if you don't like the situation. There's always something to learn. So if you're in a situation that you don't feel comfortable in, just become curious. Like, what's going on in me that I'm not comfortable in this situation? Or tell me more about you. Like my question would come back to you, Mabub, and say, um, what would urge you to want to help all these students the way you are? I think that's such a noble cause. And that's what I would, you know, start a conversation with someone else.
definitely. And like let me share what actually the reason is. We always want to, through any way we would like to share right information public and accessible to all, right resource person and resources accessible to all the people that we know. We invite them, people good soul like you, um, who from any part of the world who is sharing their journey, like as you are a TEDx speaker, I'm a very big fan of that, because from all the parts, almost all the parts around the world, people in 15 minutes, we know a lot. Like maybe you have like more than 35 years of experience, but in 15 minutes I know almost all about it, the gist. So this is amazing, and through these platforms, that yeah, you transfer your messages and your lessons, and I learned a lot from so many, like TED talks and people interviews, because like it's all about their learnings and lessons, and through those platforms people are transferring those like messages among maybe potential audience. So this is actually what we want to do: connect people, their stories, their lessons, and we're going to explore some of the things. So as you mentioned, like about the therapy, trauma, university students, this time is very vulnerable because there are some new things they have been seeing around, and maybe sometimes the lessons are very new. It seems sometimes hard, and like the surroundings, new friends, new circle, and sometimes it's very complex. And like it's sometimes about maybe about how to manage the study, how to earn money. So many things comes up during the student life. So, how, according to you, how important it is to develop mental strength among students, and almost like for all professionals and entrepreneurs, students as well. We sometimes skip about our mental health, but it is very important. So, according to you, if you share some advice on for all professionals, students, especially students, how they can ensure their mental strength, and how, if anyone has any trauma, how they can overcome any kinds of trauma in their life.
Wow, that's a big question. So you are right. Our mental health has a lot to do with how we respond to life in general, how we believe in ourselves in general. And it's so important to understand that mental health and physical health go together. Very often, I find students who are working so hard in their university work that they forget to take care of themselves. That, important things like our body functions, we need to take a deep breath every now and then and relax and understand, drink water, which your brain needs to function properly and your body needs to function properly. Get plenty of rest. Pulling all-nighters is not really the most effective way to study, because you have to keep your body balanced. And if your body's not balanced, your mind won't feel balanced. You'll be stressed and angry and frustrated and confused. So if you just take your time, one step at a time, you don't have to accomplish your whole life's work in 4 years, but take care of your physical health, and that will help your mental health.
Definitely, and like there's a very interesting um, survey research findings is the key to happiness. I cannot recall correctly, but maybe 100 years of research findings by Harvard University. The key to happiness is how one individual is connected with their, like relatives, neighbors, friends. The more they, socialize with them, go hang out with them in person, they're actually more happy in their life. So this is also important, like as especially students, they have a little bit much time, and a potential threat to them is, like to waste by being involved digitally through like digital social medias, if without any objective. It's very important to, to develop a sense of when to stop, like maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or 1 hour, not like uh, hours after hours to just stay on social medias. This is very important, and it actually, like creates a um, barrier to communicate in person with other people. So this is also important, how we talk more with people, because in some movies we see, like people who are in army and had traumas, they in circle, they discuss, and they feel better when they feel see hear about other stories. So it's all about true. And when we feel sad, we go to our friends and discuss. But in most cases here, we discuss when you feel sad through like like through chat, and that's it. But when you sit face to face and see the facial expressions and discuss with other friends or people, it actually makes relieve us from those sadness, and it like strengthens our mental health. So this is important actually also to socialize ourselves a lot, and the thing that you mentioned, and we
Absolutely.
it's very important, and also like our physical health that you mentioned. We should take care of everything. Uh, your career path has been fascinating and diverse. Um, were there unexpected challenges you faced in transitioning between different fields? Because like in here, sometimes in most cases, people say if you start in development sector, you have to retire from in development sector. If you start in FMCG or any sector, you cannot shift to other professions. It has been changing, but in like more than 99% of the like discussions, suggestions are like that. If you start in one industry, it is very difficult to shift. So according to you, uh, shifting in different like professions or roles, any challenges were there, or what do you see about these transitions and how one can actually transitions industry after industry according to you?
I think that's a really good point because I hate to see when people feel like they're stuck in life and don't have options. And the truth is, we always have options. There are always solutions to every transition we go through. And if we are going to be successful in making a transition, we have to not be stuck in the past and believing that things are always going to be the way they were, because we can make choices every single day to go in a new direction, to find. I've found over the years that my life has fit together beautifully, even if I didn't know what was really going on at the time. I One job leads to another, one position leads to another, one relationship leads to another. And if we just take a deep breath and relax and see, I that's what says on my wrist. It says just breathe. That's my biggest advice to everybody, is you have to not get so tense that you can't think properly. You have to take a deep breath and say, okay, well, I was fired from that job, or I failed this course, or this relationship ended. What can I do now to continue to move toward my goals? And so ask yourself positive questions, not why did this happen to me? Why is this terrible thing happening to me? But ask the question about, where can I go from here? What will I do today that will make my life better? What will I do today that makes me happy and makes me feel good about myself? Because a lot of things happen in your life that you could respond to and not feel so good about, but they're just learning experiences. And one of my favorite sayings is, it's just information. When something happens, good or bad, it's just information. Take it for what the information is offering you and make your decision and next step with the information you've got now. It's not the same as yesterday, it's new today. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that is true. And also, like I would like to mention here about you have written several books, but if you share few lessons for the professionals as especially about your book Zentivity, how to eliminate chaos, stress, and discontent in your workplace.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, my first three books were written on the same basic 10 principles. And I even offer a course on that even now on my current website, because it's such um, a grounding, um, baseline for personal development. There's 10 principles that start with knowing, well, first of all, connecting with whatever your faith is, connecting with the Creator in whatever way that works for you, because that gives you a connection to something bigger, something stronger, something that is helpful and beneficial to you. And then from that, the second principle is know your true identity. I always figure if I am one with the creator of the universe. I am a creation of that creator. And so I have his same qualities, just like a mother and her son. You know, you have the same qualities. He's creative. I'm creative. He's loving. I'm loving. He's helpful. He loves other people. And so it's important to know that that's who I am. I come from a place of joy and creativity and personal power to make the decisions and create the life that I choose. So every decision I make is up to me. And then the third principle is nurturing awareness, not only about what's going on around me, but more important, what's going on inside of me, because that's what I have control over. And so when we know that we have control from an internal source, it means we won't be blown off balance by all the circumstances around us, which aren't always helpful or beneficial or lovely. We create our own attitude. I love the story. Viktor Frankl is one of my mentors. He wrote a book. Not that I ever met him, but I appreciate his book. He was a prisoner in a concentration camp during World War II, and he was a psychiatrist. And his philosophy is that your attitude is what makes you strong. And he survived while his whole family perished in the concentration camps because of his attitude and his mindset. A quote that he has is, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies my freedom to choose my response. And in that freedom to choose the response lies my freedom. And I use that a lot because it's so important to know we don't have to react to everything. We don't have to be angry. We don't have to hate somebody. We just have to take that little moment and realize that we've got an opportunity to choose our response always.
Definitely, definitely. It's a very powerful message. And, like, maybe there are some situations if we do not respond and just keep ourselves shut, the situation is not going to get worse. So a very wonderful piece of advice. So,
Thank you.
would you will also share the list of books written by you so our audience can, after this session, so they can learn about it. And just, like in 1 minute, I would like to know about your TikTok, Descendants of the Stars. I like that. It seems like a movie name, but if you share a summary of that talk, we'll also share the link. So if you share just summary in 1 minute about that talk, lessons that you've shared through that talk, that would be great.
Oh, thank you for that opportunity. I'm excited to do that. The TED Talk is actually based on how like the stars we are, how when a star becomes a supernova, it goes through a moment of crisis and it starts to shut down and it runs out of energy. And we as humans feel like that happens sometimes to us. But after the star feels like it's shutting down and gravity kicks in, then it explodes into its brightest light ever. And it shines that brightness for the rest of its life. Now, a star is like 100,000 years of shining its brightest. We might not have that many years left, but we might have 10 or 20 or 50 or 70 years left. And we have a choice when we go through a crisis to choose, again, like Viktor Frankl said, to shine our brightest in spite of the transition, in spite of the trauma, in spite of the disappointment.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier that you travel countries to, like help
Yeah, I would help victims of civil wars. I've worked with child
Oh,
soldiers,
hmm.
amputees, um, people who raised in poverty, um, many sick trafficking victims. Yes, and I teach them those same principles. What an honor. What an honor.
Yeah, definitely. And like through that, um, what actually makes you go like have come up with this mindset that because like in most cases we are happy with what we do at our own community, city, and country, and sometimes we say we are happy, but we have the ability, like if say for example if I can explore and I can contribute maybe in other communities in other countries, if I have that expertise, so how have this mindset grow in your mind that you want to go further away from your country and support from your extent, and also share as well along that question, what about the isn't she amazing this organization and how your organization is creating impact.
Excuse me. Yes, that, it's, I didn't really plan that mindset. That's part of, transition to transition, one step at a time, one opportunity, one relationship at a time. And I was at a party one time, and I was talking to a woman who was doing some work in Africa, and it sounded fascinating to me. And I simply said to her, if you ever need a companion to travel with, I would love to go to Africa with you sometime. And it wasn't too much longer that I got a phone call that someone she told that to, who owned a non-governmental organization helping people of the Sierra Leonean Civil War. And she said, I understand that you're a therapist, and I'd like you to do the psychological piece of healing for the people in Sierra Leone who have suffered amputations by the rebel soldiers. And at the moment, I thought, I don't have any experience in that. I was a family therapist. And yet at the same time, I knew that the healing things I knew that I could suggest to them would help them. So I jumped at the chance to say, I'll help them the best I can, and I'd be happy to go to Sierra Leone with you. And that has led from one country to another, many in Africa to Pakistan, Afghanistan, hope to go to India in the fall, and Cambodia to work with trafficking victims, and China, and just many of the places around the world where I find that people are just like me. And we all have problems and issues. And maybe my problems and issues aren't as great or as significant as someone struggling through an amputation of a civil war or a rape in a Democratic Republic of Congo, or the starvation that takes place in some of the countries that I work in. But I can offer me, and I can offer support and help and techniques that will help them heal. And it's just so rewarding. Like I said before, I learn more from the people I work with than they'll ever learn from me.
Great. So as a CEO, um, what is a typical day is for you if you share a typical day for you as a CEO?
Well, since I'm the CEO of a company that I created with a partner who she and I are no longer working together as partners, but um, I sort of do a little bit of everything in that I do all our social media. So every day, people can find me on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I am there every day offering encouragement and inspiration, particularly at this point in my life, to women over 50 like me who feel discouraged and feel like they don't have anything left to give. My whole life is spent going back and forth with people on social media when they tell me I'm this I'm this many years old and I just got divorced from my husband or I just lost my job. How do you expect me to go on? And then I can respond to them on social media with suggestions. So I do a lot of that. I offer free consultations of people. They can call me, just short ones, with a problem or something, and we'll make an appointment and I'll chat with them. And so and oftentimes I spend time writing blogs or articles or making videos. It's just I feel like my husband thinks I'm on the computer all the time, and I suppose I am.
Yeah, but for the good cause, for the greater
That's
cause.
right.
Yeah, it's how we utilize the resources to to reach more people and contribute more. So it's for the greater good. So how did you handle again if we go to your work? How do you handle like so many tasks? As I mentioned. So how you manage your time and how you set priority. At the same time, along with this question, I would like to ask another thing is how do you see mentorship, the significance of mentorship for students who are at the university, why they should seek mentorship?
I think those are some very good questions too. I think I had an answer to the first question, and now I'm thinking, what did he ask me? So, but I think the important thing is that I have learned to set boundaries and keep my schedule according to the way that works for me. And I have done that from the very beginning of my therapy practice. My family was always a priority. So I never let people say, you can't do it that way. That's not the way we do things. And I would say, this is the way I do things. I would create a schedule of work where I could be home with the kids after school. And also, you'll never be successful as a therapist if you don't work nights and weekends. And I said, I have a family and I don't work nights and weekends. And I had practices all over the country. I've moved around a lot. I lived in Japan. I had a small practice in Japan as well. And the whole idea is that my personal well-being and my family always came first. And so I never wore a way back in the days when you could wear a beeper. Now your phone is the exact same way, where people just go ding, 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 and you answer it right away. And I don't do that. I don't answer the phone if I don't know the phone number. I'll let somebody leave a message. I won't let it interrupt my dinner. I won't, it's simply a matter of what works for me. Because if I'm not strong and healthy, I don't have strong and healthy family relationships, then nothing else seems to work. So I think boundaries and priorities are important to establish right up front as a student, and it'll carry you through your various pressures of life.
Definitely. And yeah, we're going to come to the point about mentorship, but this is very important because, say for example, if you say, "Oh, I will," I'll let you all the sorrows go away, sadness go away, but you don't know how to, be happy in your own life. If you don't practice good things, you cannot, uh, say others, say to others, tell others about this in confidently. And this is very important. We, do these mistakes as well. That whenever we do not, in most cases, especially students, do not set any boundaries. If any friends comes at like in the middle of the night, oh, let's go hang out, and they go, if the students are staying in the dorms, that is it. So there is a very famous poem here that time when it's time to play, you play, time to read, you read, time to sleep, you go to sleep. So there is, priority setting priorities and doing things when you have to do those things is very important. And thanks for sharing this very powerful piece of advice. We have to know how to take rest. We are not machines. So this is very important to the point you mentioned, the personal well-being is very important. And when we let ourselves free, like open to almost everyone, everything, and then we give less time to our family. This is very important that
Yes.
you mentioned. And for the mentorship, also your because because of this mentorship, as you also support female entrepreneurs, you know, uh, how do you see mentorship, and why should like not only students, professionals, entrepreneurs seek mentorship for their personal or professional growth?
I think mentorship is so important. And I remember when I was in graduate school working, I was supposed to go out and with my husband, and we were going to watch a speaker that one night. And it was pouring rain and it was storming and thundering. And I said, I don't want to go. It's just terrible weather. I don't want to go out. And he said, you need to talk to this woman because she's doing exactly what you want to do. And she was a psychologist who was also deeply committed to her faith, and she worked the two together in a very powerful way. So we went out in the pouring rain and we went to see this woman speak. And she was fascinating, and I was intrigued by her. And she was significantly older than I was. And I said, I went up to her after her talk and I said, I would like to find out if there's a way I can work with you. And she looked at me and she said, Oh, honey, I had you picked out of the audience long before you came up to me. And she said, We will work together. And I ended up she became my biggest mentor at the very beginning of my career and taught me so many things that I needed to know as a therapist. And one of the things she taught me was never, ever to be afraid of what people are going to say or what people are going to think. She said, Marianne, if you are afraid of what people think, you will never be a good therapist. And so I learned that at the very beginning. And so I never let what people think about how I do things interfere with what I think is right and loving and the most helpful way to run my business. And I have always been my own boss, and and um, and I've done it my way. I've made the money that I wanted to make. And I have seen the kind of people that I wanted to see and the people that I thought I could help. And a mentor can impact your life like Georgie Rodiger impacted my life for the rest of your life. So choose wisely who you're going to work with as a mentor, because you will become like who you hang out with. And a mentor is a very powerful position to be in. So, anyway, somebody could maybe do internships with someone they admire. And even if they admire somebody and they call them and say, "Hey, I love the work you do. Can I buy you a cup of coffee and spend an hour with you at a coffee shop and just let me ask you questions about what you do?" And most people will say, "Yes, of course." I mean, anytime somebody has called me and said, "Tell me how you became the kind of therapist you are. I want to learn from you." How can I say no? I mean, that's the biggest compliment in the world. I'd love to meet people for coffee and talk to them about how they can be the best they can be.
Definitely. So, like asking questions and in a
Mhm.
customized manner is very important. Like not randomly asking something, but to the point. If anyone reaching out to the person who are expert on their field, they will definitely help them back in different ways. And the
Mhm.
way you have just mentioned, maybe it's funny. It sounded like iPhone, like I want my money in my way. So it's so personalized. You set it that way. That is to have that mindset or realization is very important. That, oh no, I don't want to go out, that means I don't want to go. I want to take rest or study, stuff like that. This is very important that do I want it or not, to have that realization. So we are almost at the end of the session. Like two more questions. As like have been supporting women entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs. So according to you, what are some of the success formulas for female entrepreneurs that you have seen so far?
Success of other entrepreneurs that I've seen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you, other female entrepreneurs that you have supported so far, what were the success formulas that helped them become successful?
I think the most important thing I have learned as an entrepreneur is that I am not in competition with anybody, because nobody is me. If someone would come to me and say, "I don't like what you charge. I don't like what you believe. I don't want I don't want therapy from you," I would say, "That's fine. There are 100 therapists in this town. I will refer you to someone else," because I never felt like threatened by anybody else, or threatened by somebody that didn't like me or didn't want to work with me or didn't want to pay what I charged. It was always, "Okay, good. Your person is down the street. Go to that person, and good luck to you, and good luck to them," because I want everybody who's watching, as particularly who wants to be an entrepreneur, to understand that we spend so much time talking about competition. Who's the competition? And when you're an entrepreneur, really, yes, somebody might be selling the same thing you're selling, or they might be a coach and you're a coach, but you're not in competition, because nobody can deliver your message or your product like you can. And the people who are meant to do business with you will come to you because you're you. That's again where good relationships come into play. So I suggest always be encouraging of other entrepreneurs in town. Send them business, send them referrals, and never be afraid that somebody else is going to be, um, better than you. Nah, nobody will ever
Definitely.
be better than you.
Great. Mr. Mohit says, nice to see you on yesterday webinar. Thank you. Yeah, and like we will share the if you have any more questions, we'll share the email and how to reach our speaker. And if you have any question, you can reach out to her. And like for university students, it's sometimes like They see things, they hear things, they dream big sometimes. But according to you, what advice would you give to university students who are unsure about their career path or dream big but might feel overwhelmed?
You know, I still wonder what I'm going to be when I grow up, and I'm 70 years old. So it's like, it's so important not to get stuck. Just take opportunities that come to you every day and say, do I want to try this opportunity? And if you do, follow that path. And your path is not a straight path. It's a crooked path. And it's the right path and it's unique to you. So please don't ever stress about, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Take a minute to find out what feels right to you. Always trust your gut. Always know you are uniquely gifted and you have a calling from your creator to live a life and live a purpose and a career path that only you can give. You have gifts that only you can offer the world. So be confident in who you are, even if you don't feel confident all the time. Sometimes you just have to walk through the fear, and then you'll
Def-
get more confident as you do that.
Fake it till we make it. So there is nothing to be not confident because there is no competition. It's only them. They're through their journey. They are going to learn. And when we feel less confident, when you don't have information, when you don't research, when you don't study, when
Mhm.
you don't analyze. So this is important as well, to study and go to seminars, webinars to learn, do volunteering works to develop skills. This is very important for them to develop. Thank you, Miss Marianne, for this valuable time with us because you are so busy and you have so many things to do, and the true call of your soul, the way you have mentioned your journey in brief, although it's so big, it will take hours to us know more about you. But in brief, we wanted to share the callings and how did your passion start in that sector and uh, the way you have creating impact in the world, and everything is possible. You are a writer, you're an author. Yeah, you go to interviews, you speak at like seminars, TED talk. Everything is possible. The way that one of the very powerful strategies that you have mentioned, that you personalize all the things that you do. So this is very important. And if you're happy in your personal life, the more impactful way you give to others. This is very important. And through your facial expression, it is very obvious that you're so happy in your life and the way you support others. This is very important. And one of the example is the way you support, students of Bangladesh sitting far away from us. This is important. If the opportunities are there, the important is the way you want to support. So thank you on behalf of the School of Entrepreneurship Development, Ms. Marianne. I would like to share our sincere gratitude and always support whatever you do and best wishes. And if possible, visit Bangladesh as well.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. What a blessing it is to me just to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much and wish you very best of luck. We will bump into each other in programs like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.